माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवर धारी जय गिरिवर धारी जय यशोदानंद जय प्रजजन रंजना जय यशोदानंद जय प्रजजन रंजना जय यशोदानंदन जय प्रजजन रंजना जय यशोदानंदन जय प्रजजन रंजना जय यमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी 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 हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय श्री गुरुदेव की जय टैगोर हरि बोल ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of God, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established in the new right. नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. By regular attendance in classes on Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established in the neighborhood of right. So, Hare Krishna, Prabhu Swatis, welcome all of you to this wonderful Bhagavatam session. And hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is all the more auspicious during this Damodara month. So, today's verse will be 3rd canto, 29th chapter, verse number 23. So, let us recite this verse. द्विषत परकाये मानिनो भिन्न दर्शिणः भूतेषु बद्धवैरस्य न मनःशान्तिं मृच्छति. द्विषत परकाये मानिनो भिन्न दर्शिणः भूतेषु बद्धवैरस्य न मनः शान्तिं रच्छति द्विषतः परकाये मानिनो भिन्नदर्शिनः भूतेषु बद्धवैरस्य न मनः शान्तिं रच्छति. Anybody wants to recite?
May I, Prabhu? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Madam.
द्विषतः परकाये माम् मानिनो भिन्नदर्शिनः भूतेषु बद्धवैरस्य न मनः शान्तिमृच्छति. हरे कृष्ण.
Anyone, Prabhu?
द्विषतः परकाये माम् मानिनो भिन्नदर्शिनः भूतेषु बद्धवैरस्य न मनः शान्तिं रक्षति.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So, see the word to word meaning. Dushataha, of one who is envious. Parakaye, towards the body of another. Mam, unto me. Maninaha, offering respect. Bhinna darshinaha, of a separatist. Bhuteshu, towards living entities. Baddha vairasya, of one who is inimical. Na, not. Manaha, the mind. Shantim, peace. Richati, attains. Translation purport by Divine Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anybody wants to recite the translation?
One who offers me respect but is envious of the bodies of others and is therefore a separatist never attains peace of mind because of his inimical behavior towards other living entities.
Thank you, Bhakta. Purport by Divine Srila Prabhupada. Please hear the purport. In this verse, two phrases, Bhuteshu Baddha Vairasya, inimical towards others, and Dushataha Parakai, envious of another's body, are significant. One who is envious of or inimical towards others never experiences any happiness. A devotee's vision, therefore, must be perfect. He should ignore bodily distinctions and should see only the presence of the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord and the Lord Himself in His plenary expansion as Supersoul. That is the vision of a pure devotee. The bodily expression of a particular type of living entity is always ignored by the devotee. It is expressed herein that the Lord is always eager to deliver the conditioned souls who have been encaged within material bodies. Devotees are expected to carry the message or desire of the Lord to such conditioned souls and enlighten them with Krishna consciousness. Thus, they may be elevated to transcendental spiritual life and the mission of their lives will be successful. Of course, this is not possible for living entities who are lower than human beings. But in human society, it is feasible that all living entities can be enlightened with Krishna consciousness. Even living entities who are lower than a human can be raised to Krishna consciousness by other methods. For example, Shivananda Sena, a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya, delivered a dog by feeding him prasada. Distribution of prasada or remnants of foodstuffs offered to the Lord, even to the ignorant masses of people and to animals, gives such living entities the chance for elevation to Krishna consciousness. Factually, it happened that the same dog, when met by Lord Chaitanya at Puri, was liberated from the material condition. It is especially mentioned here that a devotee must be free from all violence, jiva himsa. Lord Chaitanya has recommended that a devotee not commit violence to any living entity. Sometimes the question is raised that since vegetables also have life and devotees take vegetable foodstuffs, isn't that violence? Firstly, however, taking some leaves, twigs, or fruit from a tree or plant does not kill the plant. Besides that, Jiva Himsa means that since every living entity has to pass through a particular type of body according to his past karma, although every living entity is eternal, he should not be disturbed in his gradual evolution. A devotee has to execute the principles of devotional service exactly as they are. And he must know that however insignificant a living entity may be, the Lord is present within him. A devotee must realize this universal presence of the Lord. Jai Shri Prabhupada's transcendental purport ki Jai. Om Gyantimrandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Mano Abhishtam Stapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gada Mahyam Dadati Supadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutabada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarajatam Sahana Raghunathamitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saganalita Shri Vishaka Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचि इमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयते किल शक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यां च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणानमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयति नमो विष्णुपदाय विष्णुविष्णुभूतले श्रीमते महाविष्णुस्वामिते नमः नमो विष्णुपदाय So Hare Krishna Bhagavad Mata is. So this chapter is entitled Explanation of Devotional Service by Lord Kapila. See, in Srimad Bhagavatam, in this third canto, especially this chapter 29th, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appeared as Lord Kapila, the son of Devahuti and Kardama Muni, he is explaining the process of devotional service to his mother, Devahuti. That's why in the 21st verse, he says, I am present in every living entity as a super soul. If someone neglects or disregards that super soul everywhere and engages himself in the worship of the deity in the temple, that is simply imitation. Very powerful statement. See, no, the Lord is never pleased when we pose ourselves to be a sincere devotee, but fall in our normal behavior with others. Bhakti does not mean neglecting other souls. Bhakti does not mean neglecting other souls. See, the Lord resides as Paramatma in everyone's heart, right? So we cannot discriminate others. Also, we should remember that we are very tiny, very tiny, insignificant part of the Supreme. And we are incapable of even lifting our hands unless approved by the Supreme Lord. So what is there to be proud of ourselves and to disregard others? If we don't know how to maintain cordial, loving relationship with persons we are meeting in this world, how are we going to make ourselves eligible for having a loving relationship with the Supreme Person in the spiritual world? See, there is a famous saying, charity begins at home. So similarly, friendly relationship begins in this world and would lead us to the spiritual world. And one more point to remember is, even if we chant sincerely and invite the Lord to reside in our heart, Krishna would not like to reside in a place full of anger and hatred. Correct? So that's why see in the purport of 4th canto, 30th chapter, 36th verse, 4:30, 36. He says, Prabhupada says, actually, when one chants or discusses the transcendental activities of the Lord, he immediately becomes non-envious. So in this middle world, everyone is envious of everyone else. But by vibrating or discussing the holy name of the Lord, one becomes non-envious and devoid of material hankerings. See, there won't be any hankering. See, we are here in the program for 45 minutes or 1 hour. There is no hankering. There is no enviousness. There is no fear. Correct? So because of our envy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we have become envious of all other living entities. So when we are no longer envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there will be real peace. There will be real peace, unity, fraternity in human society. So without Narayana or Sankirtana Yajna, there cannot be peace in this material world. It was a very beautiful, in fact, very nicely says in this purport. And so, in fact, in this chapter only, the 20th verse, Prabhupada says, see, as a breeze carrying a pleasant fragrance from a garden of flowers, at once captures the organ of smell. Correct. So when suddenly we are not near that flower also, we are somewhere far, a little far. But because of the breeze, the fragrance from that flower, rose flower or jasmine, whatever, it comes and we automatically captures our organ of senses of smell, right? Similarly, one's consciousness which is saturated with devotion, it can at once capture the transcendental existence of Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is in his Paramatma feature, is present everywhere, even in the heart of every living being. Very beautifully, Prabhupada has given this example. See, in Bhagavad Gita, 5th chapter, 12th verse purport, Prabhupada says the difference between a person in Krishna consciousness and a person in bodily consciousness is that a person in Krishna consciousness is attached to Krishna, whereas who is in bodily consciousness is attached to the results of his activities. So the person who is attached to Krishna and works for him who's attached and also working only for Krishna, is certainly a liberated person. And therefore he has no anxiety over the results of his work. In Bhagavatam, the cause of anxiety over the result of an activity is explained as being once functioning in the conception of duality. That is, without the knowledge of the absolute truth. See, Krishna is the supreme absolute truth. He's the personality of Godhead, supreme personality of Godhead. So in Krishna consciousness, there is no duality. All that exists is a product of Krishna's energy. And Krishna is all good. So therefore, the activities in Krishna consciousness are on the absolute plane. They are transcendental. And they have no material effect. So what happens? One is therefore filled with peace in Krishna consciousness. If you say, I'm still not finding peace, that means you're still not in Krishna consciousness. You may feel, there be show cause, like a show bottle devotion. So, but one who is entangled in the profit calculation of sense gratification, he cannot have peace. So, this is the secret of Krishna consciousness. Realization that there is no existence besides Krishna is the platform of peace and fearlessness. See, there's a beautiful verse. See, this world where people are envious, angry, the last, so many things are there, right? Especially enviousness is the greatest difficulty. That's very difficult to remove. So, best way, Prahlad Maharaj given us a wonderful prayer. If you chant this prayer day in and day out, then automatically everything will you will feel the difference. It is 5th canto, 18th chapter, 19th verse. Swastyastu vishwasya khala prasidata dhyayan tu bhutani shivam mitodhiya manascha bhadram bhajata dadukshaje aveshatam no matirapya hetuki. Please hear the translation very carefully. He says, may there be good fortune throughout the universe. And may all envious persons be pacified. May all living entities become calm by practicing Bhakti Yoga. For by accepting devotional service, they will think of each other's welfare. Therefore, let us all engage in the service of the Supreme Transcendence, Lord Shri Krishna, and always remain absorbed in thought of Him. So this verse is very beautiful to recite. In fact, memorize and keep it in our mind and heart, day in and day out. See, in the purport of 4th canto, 30th chapter, 24th verse, the word Hari, we say Hari, no? Hari means not H-U-R-R-Y, H-A-R-I. Hari means one who takes away all miserable conditions. Whereas if you H-U-R-R-Y means more miserable. And Hari Medase means the Lord is always planning ways to deliver the conditioned souls from the clutches of Maya. Hari Medase. So the Lord is so kind, no? That He personally incarnates to deliver the conditioned souls. And whenever He comes, He makes His plans. Paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. 4.8 Bhagavad Gita. Now, since the Lord delivers all conditioned souls from the clutches of Maya, He is known as Hari Medas. See, in the list of incarnations, Krishna is described as the supreme and the original personality of Godhead. So Bhagavatam 1.3.38, 1.3.28 says, Ete cham shakala pumsah Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. So Krishna, the original personality of Godhead, appears in this material world when the demigods who are devotees of the Lord are disturbed by the demons. See, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 22.14 and 15, Prabhupada says in the purport, see, due to being conditioned by the external energy, the conditioned soul within this material world gets two kinds of bodies. A gross material body, you can see that, and a subtle material body composed of mind, intelligence, and ego. So what happens now? Due to the gross and subtle bodies, he is subjected to the threefold miseries because of the body. What are they? Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, Adi Devika. So many miseries arising from the body and mind, arising from other living entities, and from natural disturbances caused by high demigods, high planetary systems. So the conditioned soul who is subjected to the threefold miseries is continuously kicked by Maya. And this is his disease. Now, if by chance he meets a saintly person who works in Krishna's behalf to deliver the conditioned souls, and if he agrees to abide by his order, he can gradually approach the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna. See, the purport of Prabhupada, the purport of 430, 34, 30, 27. Prabhupada says, it's a beautiful purport. See, when the Lord appears in his original form, he acts to deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants. We saw in that 4.8 of Bhagavad Gita. Now, although he annihilates the demons, he even benefits them also. So it is said that all the living entities who died in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, they attained their original constitutional position, Swarupa, because they had the chance to see Krishna face to face, who was riding in the chariot of Arjuna. On the battlefield of Kurukshetra, superficially, two things were going on. The demons were being killed, and the devotee Arjuna was being protected. However, the results were the same for everyone. Therefore, it is said that the appearance of the Lord, it diminishes all kinds of miserable conditions caused by material existence. Please hear. Prabhupada says the appearance of the Lord diminishes all kinds of miserable conditions caused by material existence. So it is very clearly stated in this verse that this form is meant to diminish all the miserable conditions experienced in life, not only by the devotees, but by all the others. See, the Prachetas identify themselves as common men. So devotees are always favorably accepted by the Lord. And Lord shows all mercy not only to conditioned souls, but also to the devotees who are already liberated due to their devotional service. So the form of the Lord as worshipped in the temples is called Archa Vigraha. So the worshipful form, the deity incarnation. So this facility is offered to neophyte devotees so that they can see the real form of the Lord face to face and offer their respectful obeisances and sacrifice in the form of Archa. So what happens through such facilities, the neophytes gradually they invoke their original Krishna consciousness. Now, deity worship in the form of temple worship is the most valuable benediction given by the Lord to beginners. So all neophytes must therefore engage in the worship of the Lord by keeping the Archa Vigraha at home or in the temple. Who are conditioned souls? We always discuss about conditions or conditions. Who are those? Those who got this material body. They are called conditioned souls. Because this material body means you have to live under certain conditions. Just like I need an AC. Why? Because I have been put into condition of heat. I cannot tolerate it. But I have to live. Similarly, severe cold. I do not want it. But I have to live. I do not want to set fire at home. But there is fire. And there is fire brigade. So in this way, In every step of our life, we are always in danger. But what happens? The foolish persons, no, they do not understand this. They are thinking that I am happy. This is called illusion, Maya. Actually, he is unhappy in every step. But the spell of Maya or illusion is so strong that even in the lowest stage of life, anyone will think that he is happy. Even the animals, you experience that so many animals, they are living in such miserable conditions. But still, it is not like to give up this body. Prabhupada says in one of the lectures, but the pain is more felt by God than the living creature in this condition life. Krishna feels the pain, seeing his condition of this, all the living entities suffering like this. See, there is always endeavor on the part of God to send his representative, or he sometimes he comes himself, or he gives the book, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. So anyone who takes up this endeavor on behalf of Krishna to reclaim these conditioned souls back to Godhead, back to home, is considered the most intimate devotee, dear devotee of the Lord. You can see in Bhagavad Gita 18.69, Nacha tasman manusheshu kaschin me priyak krittamaha. He says, there is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. So if you want to become very dear to Krishna, then try to take up these missionary activities. What is that? Spread Krishna consciousness. Krishna will be very much pleased. See, the servants of Yamaraj, Yamadutas, are so powerful that generally they cannot be hindered anywhere, right? Okay. But during Ajamila's first time, no? That time they were baffled and disappointed in their attempt to take away a man they considered sinful. So what happened? They immediately returned to Yamaraj and described to him everything that happened. They thought that it was unnatural, that Ajamila, who had seemed eligible to be brought before Yamaraja, has been released by the Vishnu Dutas. Now Ajamila is fully Krishna conscious. How? By the divine association of the Vishnu Dutas, who were highly elevated Vaishnavas. So Ajamila came to his full consciousness. See, he had been arrested, but then he had been released. And now he was free from all fear. So this is liberation. So when one is situated in Krishna consciousness by the association of Vaishnavas or devotees of the Lord, one becomes free from all fear. So the position is eternal. Ajamila became fearless. Why? Due to being reinstated in his constitutional position. At once he began to offer nice prayers to the Vishnudutas. Vancha kalpatarubhescha kripa sandhuvayevacha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the devotees of the Lord who are just like desire trees or oceans of mercy. So this is the life of a devotee. He's always offering prayers to the other devotees. First, he offers respects to his spiritual master, next to his grand spiritual master, next to his great grand spiritual master, and then to all devotees of Lord Krishna. So Vaishnavas are also Vishnu Dutas because they carry out the orders of Krishna. Krishna is very eager for all the conditioned souls rotting in this material world to surrender to him and be saved from the material pangs in this life and the punishment in hellish conditions after death. So Vaishnava, he tries to bring conditioned souls to their senses. So those who are fortunate like Ajamila are saved by the Vishnu Dutas or Vaishnavas. Therefore, they return back home to Bandicoot. See, good examples of merciful Vaishnavas are the six Goswamis of Vrindavana. They scrutinizingly studied all kinds of scriptures, right, to establish the principles of Krishna consciousness. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the nectar of devotion, right, Srila Rupa Goswami quotes many verses from different scriptures supporting the principles of bhakti. So why did he and other Goswamis take so much trouble and research? It is very laborious to research the Vedic literature in search of authoritative statements and then to assimilate them in order to support the Vedic conclusions. So, but the six Goswamis took up that laborious work out of compassion for humanity. So spreading Krishna consciousness as the six Goswamis did is the best welfare work for all humanity. See, there seem to be many other welfare activities, but their benefit is only temporary. So the great welfare work of spreading Krishna consciousness undertaken by exalted personalities such as HG Goswamis of Vrindavan, no, has the real value for all men because it is based upon substantial spiritual truth. So Vaishnavas are just like desire trees, Kalpa Vriksha, because they can fulfill all of one's spiritual desires. And they are also the oceans of mercy, Kripa Sindhu. So Ajamila, he heard the conversation between Yamadutas and the Vishnu Dutas. And simply by hearing, he was completely cleansed of all mental contamination. Such is the purifying effect of hearing about Krishna. So we are all hearing, right? And during this Damodara month, all the more beneficial. So anyone who regularly hears Srimad Bhagavatam, anyone who regularly hears Srimad Bhagavad Gita, anyone who regularly hears the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, or any other Vaishnava literature, he gets the same benefit as Ajamila and becomes free of all material contamination. See, Ajamala was very grateful to the Vishnu Dutas, right? And he immediately offered his respects by bowing down before them. Now, similarly, we have to make firm our relationship with the servants of Lord Vishnu. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Gopi Bhartu Pada Kamalayor Dasa Dasanu Dasa. One should consider oneself the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. See, without offering respects to the servant of Krishna, no one can approach Krishna. After Ajamila had offered his respects to the Vishnu Dutas, no, he prepared to say something out of gratitude. But they immediately took their leave because they preferred that he glorify the Supreme Lord instead. See the beauty. So since all his sinful reactions had been vanquished, Ajamila he was prepared to glorify the Lord. See, one cannot glorify the Lord sincerely unless one is free from all sinful activities. And this is confirmed by Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita 7.28. Yesham tvantagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandamoha nirmukta bhajante mam dridhavrataha. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated are freed from the duality of delusion and they engage themselves in my service with determination. So the Vishnu Duttas made Ajamila aware of devotional service so that he might soon become fit to return home back to God. So to increase his eagerness to glorify the Lord, they disappeared so that he would feel the separation in their absence. So in the mood of separation, glorification of the Lord is very intense. The same like when Narad Muni, first time he got the darshan when he meditated, no? He got the darshan of the Lord. And he was very happy, so blissful. So when he left, then again, second time he wanted to have the same darshan. He tried, but he could not get. The Krishna is a voice. He told him, now you will not be able to get, so that you will get the more hankering for seeing me and more, then devotional service will gradually increase. Then the intensity will be more. In the purport of 4:29:46, Prabhupada says, Atma Bhavita means that word also indicates that a devotee is always engaged in preaching to deliver conditioned souls. So it is said in the six Goswamis, no? They say, Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipuno Saddharma Samstapako Lokanam Hitakarino Nana Shastra Vicharinako Nipuno Saddharma Samstapako Lokanam Hitakarino. It's beautiful. So a pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always thinking of how the fallen conditioned souls can be delivered. So Krishna, influenced by the merciful devotees, no, he attempts to deliver fallen souls, enlightens the people and then from within by his causeless mercy. So if a devotee is blessed by another devotee, he becomes free from karma kanda and jnana kanda activities. As it is confirmed in Brahma Samhita, Vedeshu Durlabham, the Supreme Personality of God cannot be realized through karma kanda and jnana kanda activities. Adurlabham Atma Bhakto, the Lord is realized only by his sincere devotee. That's why in this current chapter, 29th chapter, no, I just read out the verse 22, translation and purport. I think it's this. Here it says, one who worships the deity of Godhead in the temples, but does not know that the Supreme Lord as Paramatma is situated in every living entity's heart, must be in ignorance and is compared to one who offers oblations to ashes. See, in the first paragraph it says, it is stated clearly herein, the Supreme Personality of Godhead in its plenary expansion of Super Soul is present in all living entities. The living entities have 8,084 lakh species. Supreme Godhead is living in every body, both as individual soul and super soul. So individual soul is part and parcel of Supreme Lord. In that sense, Lord is living in everybody and as every body, and super soul as super soul. So Lord is present as a witness. In both cases, presence of God in every living entity is essential. Therefore, persons who profess to belong to some religious sect but who do not feel the presence of Supreme Personality of Godhead in every living entity, everywhere else, are all in the mode of ignorance. It's a very important point for us to understand. See, the 24th verse, Lord Kapila Muni reassures very nicely. See, one day, Krishna and Balram and their Kaur friends, they approached them and complained of hunger because they had not eaten breakfast. So they were pasturing the cows in the fields. So nearby was a village in which a group of Brahmanas were performing Vedic sacrifices. Okay. So Krishna told the boys to beg some food on behalf of Balram. And Krishna he was warning his friends. He said, these Brahmanas are not Vaishnavas. They cannot even chant our names. Krishna and Balram. So they are very busy in chanting the Vedic hymns. Okay. So although the purpose of Vedic knowledge is to find me, but because they are not attracted by the names of Krishna and Balram, so you better not ask them for anything in my name. Better ask for some charity in the name of Balram. Charity is generally given to high class Brahmanas. But Krishna and Balram did not appear in a Brahmana family. Right? Balram was known as the son of Vasudev, a Kshatriya. And Krishna was known as in the Vrindavan as the son of Nanda Maharaj, who was a Vaishya. So neither of them belonged to the Brahmana community. So therefore, Krishna considered that Brahmanas engaged in performing sacrifice might not be induced to give charity to either Kshatriya or Vaishya. So the told boys, they presented arguments to convince the Brahmanas about the divinity of Krishna and Balram. The Brahmanas, they were addicted to the superficial rules and regulations of the Vedas, So if they did not want to transgress the etiquette of charity. So in fact, they did not even reply to the boys. So Krishna and Balram advised the boys to approach the Brahmanas' wives, who were great devotees. So boys, they begged food in the name of Krishna and Balram. The ladies, Brahmanas' wives, immediately they seized their entire stock of food and personally delivered it with great devotion at the lotus feet of Krishna and Balram. So Prabhupada writes in Krishna book, after the return of their wives from Krishna, the Brahmanas engaged in the performance of sacrifice, they began to regret their sinful activities in refusing food to Supreme Personality of Godhead. See, they could finally understand their mistake. Because engaged in performance of Vedic rituals, they had neglected Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had appeared just like an ordinary human being and asked for some food. So we have to sense the presence of Lord everywhere. We see in this purport of the current verse, which is a 23rd verse, right? See, as we become matured in devotional service, our awareness of Krishna everywhere must increase. We should be very clear in our conscious that photo of Krishna and deities are not different. And above all, the devotees of the Lord are also important. So in the name of deity worship, if we ignore the requirements of devotees, then our deity worship has no value, especially the genuine requirements of devotees. So in the name of serving our deities, we tend to disrespect the feeling of other devotees and also Krishna. And Krishna is not pleased by such behavior. When Jaya and Vijaya stopped the Sanat Kumaras from entering into the Vaikuntha, who were eager to render devotional service to the Lord and have the Lord's darshan, the Lord did not interfere the cursing of the sages. In fact, he was taking responsibility of this offense. And Krishna, he said, he was ready to lop off his own hands for the offense by of his devotees, right? So this is the reason Kapil Deva very powerfully instructs about the recognition of super soul in every living entity while doing deity worship. Prabhupada says in the purport, we may offer many valuable items to the deity, but if we have no real sense of devotion and no real sense of the Lord's presence everywhere, then we are lacking in devotional service. In such a state of ignorance, we cannot offer anything acceptable to the Lord. See, one of the most important instructions of Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is to do our prescribed duties. But many times we find there is a misconception in the society that after taking up devotional service, one need not do his prescribed duties. Very wrong. According to Varna and Ashrama, we are placed, we have to do our duties. See, person in Grihastha Ashrama has the responsibility of taking care of his dependents. And so he has to earn money through honest means. And he has to try to maintain the family members, right? And women have the duty of taking care of household and children nicely. Children, in turn, have the prescribed duty of studying, being respectful elders, right? But in the pretext of devotional service, whether the man or woman or child, they give up their prescribed duties, there will be havoc in the family life. That's why in the 25th verse, word swakarma krit, very significant. It says, one who engages in discharging his prescribed duties. So it is not that one who has become a devotee of the Lord or who engages in devotional service should give up his prescribed duties. No. No one should be lazy under the pretext of devotional service. One has to execute the devotional service according to prescribed duties. One should discharge the duties prescribed for him without neglect. My Guru Maharaj used to say, if you can't work hard in material life, you can't work hard in spiritual life. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 3.7, on the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control the active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga in Krishna consciousness without attachment, he is by far superior. That's why Prabhupada very nicely concludes the purport of 3.7 by saying, a sincere person who follows this method is far better situated than the false pretender who adopts show bottle spiritualism to cheat the innocent public. He says, Prabhupada says very nicely, a sincere sweeper in the street is far better than the charlatan meditator who meditates only for the sake of making a living. So prescribed duties and devotional service go hand in hand. Kapila Muni goes on to explain how we should regularly perform devotional service and engage in deity worship. If we simply keep doing our prescribed duties alone, without remembering Krishna, then we will never advance in devotional service. Prabhupada says, one should worship the deity of the Lord until one appreciates the presence of the Lord in every living entity. Please hear it. Very beautiful. Prabhupada says, one should worship the deity of the Lord until one appreciates the presence of Lord in every living entity. That means one should not be satisfied simply by discharging his duties properly. He must realize his relationship and the relationship of all other living entities with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if he does not understand this, then even though he discharges his prescribed duties properly, it is to be understood that he is simply laboring without profit. So while we are engaging in prescribed duties, we have so many kinds of interactions with people around us. Some are pleasing, some are not so pleasing. But in all such interactions, when we see Krishna's hand, the hand of Krishna, Krishna's relationship with those people and our relationship with Krishna, then we'll be very sane in our transactions or dealings with others. So it's very important that we don't remain lazy. One has to execute devotional service according to his prescribed duties. See, there is an example we can consider of a mother and a newborn child. It so happened, one mother came to my Guru Maharaj and he advised her, who was coming with her newborn baby, right? And he advised how she has to perform devotional service according to her prescribed duty. He said, if your child is hungry and crying for food, when you are chanting. You are chanting now, but at that moment, your child is hungry and crying for food. It is important that you take care of the child first and then continue with devotional service. That is what you have to understand. Prioritize what is more important. See, in the first verse of Bhagavad Gita, we see the reasons why Dhritarashtra was having fear and doubts, right? So Dhritarashtra was anxious that his sons might lose the war and even die. He knew that his sons were at fault. And all the missiles were on the other side, right? So fighting the battle in the holy place will not be favorable for them, and they're bound to be defeated. So if you're not Dhritahari, then we are bound to be haunted by fear, doubt, and anxiety. We should be Dhritahari, otherwise Dhritarashtra. Correct. So in the whole of Gita, we find that apart from Krishna, Arjuna, and Sanjaya, these three they spoke, right? But as soon as Dhritarashtra said Mamaka, he did not get any more chance to speak. So Mamaka is finished. So if we keep discriminating Krishna, Krishna says he will appear as blazing fire of death. So for our own well-being, it is good to surrender unto the Lord and treat everyone equally. So the quality of equivision or samadarshi is very dear to the Lord. And he mentions many verses in Bhagavad Gita that is very pleased with those who have equal vision. So if we do not follow religious principles, then we will also be wiped out by Krishna. Like how he wiped out the Kauravas in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So as soon as we start discriminating people, all sorts of evil thoughts take permanent shelter in our hearts. In so many places in Bhagavad Gita, as well as Bhagavatam, Krishna has repeatedly stressed that discriminating quality never pleases him. And he would love to stay in the hearts of only those who possess samadarshana quality. So when we meet needy people, we should provide them charitable gifts. When we meet elders, we must pay our obeisances and give them due attention. When we meet people of our own age, we should behave friendly with them. So Kapila Muni very nicely says, just by behaving like this, we can please Krishna residing in each one of their hearts, as he considers this as good as worshipping. It is not that we can worship the Lord by offering him flowers, fruits, incense. See, even by behaving with others in a genuine and kind manner, we are worshipping the super soul residing in them. See, after hearing this, we may question, how is it practically possible? Are we supposed to behave friendly manner to a tiger also? So in the subsequent verses, Kapil Dev makes it very clear how we should behave with different types of living entities. In the 28th verse, he says the feeling of equality must be there, but the treatment should be discriminating. He explains how the sages who lived in the forests, he saw the super soul in the tigers by providing the prasadam, but not by hugging the tigers. The idea is we must feel the presence of super soul in all, though we may be expressing it might be different. Just like how father loves good son as well as the bad son alike in the same way. The feeling of love for both of them would be same, though he might treat them differently. He would have loving dealings with the good son and might chastise the bad son. So let us remember this eternal truth and please the Supreme Lord Krishna by treating all living entities with equanimous feeling of love. So my Gurudev informed us that when devotees, they travel so long to meet each other, anything happen on our way, right? It's only by the mercy of Krishna that we can reach safely. So whenever devotees meet, they should always greet each other with a smiling face. See, when we go to temples, we either look out for someone whom we get along well or someone important according to materialist thinking to be a great. So we completely ignore other devotees or guests who are present there. So we measure ourselves in terms of the number of years of service in this organization or our connections with higher ups. So anyone who falls outside our mental parameters is automatically eliminated by our mind by ignoring them. Correct. See how often we have experienced that many times devotees don't even consider a person with whom we have been associating for a long time just because of some small misunderstanding. A person may have done many good things, but a small misunderstanding, it leads to a big concocted problem. And we forget all the good things he has done for us. So as a result of such concoction, We start to link incidents one by one. And the next time we meet that person, we don't talk properly. Or we expect that person to talk with us, even if he's elder to us. So the other person might have even forgotten those incidents and is trying to be nice with us, but we still consider him to be guilty of offending us. And the reason why he is approaching us again, why is he approaching? This attitude proves to be a hindrance in always being cheerful. And which, if we are cheerful, it translates in greeting others one with a big smile. But how to be always cheerful? Prabhupada gives 152. He says, one cannot be cheerful by nature unless one is factually seated in self-realization, which is transcendental to the material body and mind. So self-realized due to his constant contact with Krishna in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. Moreover, he does not have any corners in his mind about any living entity. He treats everyone with the same love and affection. And that is the reason everywhere Acharya, these pure devotees are attracted to them and their instructions. So let us all pray to Guru, Prabhupada and Krishna that one day by sincerely studying Bhagavatam, by their costless mercy, we will always be able to maintain a cheerful attitude and not disregard anyone for some nonsensical material reasons. You know, we usually talk so much about humility and we advise everybody to be humble. We broadcast that humility is the only way to reach the Lord. But are we really feeling humble in all circumstances? And especially with regard to giving respect to others? It is totally absent. See, we care for people only if they do nice service to us and also give respect to us. But we fail to understand that Krishna is in the hearts of all the living entities. And we do not have any right to discriminate living beings and think them as lower. Usually among the devotees, we think that at least people are to be condemned. And especially servant maids are to be treated like servants with disdain. This type of mentality is completely condemned by the Lord. See, a very nice pastime of Srila Prabhupada, it would really hit us straight into our deep and thickened brain, no? To understand how we should give respect to every living entity and do not discriminate. Now, Srila Prabhupada, while he was staying in Bombay, he had summoned all the GPC members to assemble and finalize the course of action to be taken for acquiring the jewel land. So it was a very important meeting, and all senior disciples have assembled there to discuss. Now, during the course of the intense discussions, one sweeper came to sweep the room where the discussions were going on. On seeing her, see, in spite of being in the middle of very serious discussions, Prabhupada stepped out of the room and asked everybody to leave the room and said that the sweeper should be obeyed and we should disperse and assemble later after she finishes her job. Prabhupada said that the sweeping would fetch her 1 rupee. That would feed her family and herself. Therefore, we should give respect and leave the place immediately and assemble later. So all the disciples were wonderstruck Prabhupada's exemplary behavior, no? And were reminded of Amanina Manadhena, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respects to others. So this also reminds us how Lord received Sudama in his palace and respectfully treated him. Bhagavatam 10:80, 20 to 22, 3 verses. So Krishna seated his friend Sudama upon the bed, right? And then the Lord, who purifies the whole world, he personally offered him various tokens of respect and washed his feet. After which he sprinkled the water on his head. He anointed him with fragrant sandalwood, aguru, kunkuma paste, and he happily worshipped Sudama with aromatic incense and arrays of lamps unto hearts. After finally offering him betel nut, the gift of a cow, he welcomed him with pleasing words. See, such an exemplary behavior is possible only by Supreme Lord himself or by his most exemplary Acharya like Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. See, Prabhupada not only spoke on humility, he practiced it as well, as is the personification of the verse, Trinadapi Sunichan. So it is our unsteady mind which does not budge an inch to apply these principles in our devotional life. See, however, we want to birth in Vaikuntha Loka, right? Without any qualification. How is it possible? We may know the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. We may know Bhagavad Gita, inside out with purports, verses, everything. But unless we put into practice what we learn from these verses, then it becomes useless labor. Shrama eva hi kevalam. So the Lord and his devotees, by their exemplary behavior, are again and again proving their greatness. And we do not understand it. See, as regards to discrimination, have we ever heard a rose saying, I want to be as white as moon? Or moon saying, I want to be as red as rose? Certainly not. Then why do we human beings compare and discriminate our success and failure with others? If rose is beautiful, then moon is also beautiful. They never compared each other. Success is not determined by how we are doing compared with others, but by how we are doing compared with what we are capable of doing. So rose is a rose and moon is a moon. We may be a little lamp and others may be the great sun. But a little lamp can shine in the night, but the great sun cannot. So Krishna has given us, each one of us, a special talent. So understanding Krishna's purpose in creating us, we should utilize whatever talents he has bestowed us in his service in the best possible manner. Instead, if we keep comparing ourselves and discriminating with others, we end up only displeasing Krishna, and which obviously is not the goal of our life. Right? So just like the sun is one, we should also understand that Krishna as a super soul is living in all living entities. So irrespective of whether a living entity is a boy or a girl, human being or an animal, rich or poor, tall or short, beauty or beautiful, ugly, thin or stout, healthy or sick, irrespective of nationality, color, race, Krishna is residing in everyone's heart. So we are all part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. We should not discriminate people. Even while distributing the message of Krishna, we should do it without any discrimination and should not be selective in sharing the message with others. This nature will only please the Lord. So we can do great amount of service when we serve in united manner. That's why Krishna himself assures in Bhagavatam 4:38. He says, my dear sons of the king, I am very much pleased by the friendly atmosphere, friendly relationships among you. All of you are engaged in one occupation, devotional service. I am so pleased with your mutual friendship that I wish you all good fortune. Now you may ask a benediction of me. What a beautiful, this verse is very beautiful. 4th canto, 30th chapter, 8th verse. Shri Bhagavanuvacha varam vredvam badram vo yuyam me nripanandanaha sohadena pratak dharmas tushtoham saurdenavaha. To the Prachetas, he is telling, my dear sons of the king, I am very much pleased by the friendly relationships among you. All of you are engaged in one occupation, devotional service. I am so pleased with least, Sri Krishna is telling, I am so pleased with your mutual friendship that I wish you all good fortune. Now you may ask a benediction of me. So we should pray and seek guidance at the lotus feet of Guru, Prabhupada and Krishna, that we see Krishna's presence in all living entities and without discrimination render service unto the lotus feet. See, in the verse of 4:6:47, there are 5 unwanted qualities. What are the 5 unwanted qualities? Number 1, thinking differently. 2, attachment to fruitive activities. 3, being mean-minded. 4, being always pained to see the flourishing condition of others. And 5, giving distress to other living entities by uttering harsh and piercing words. So this verse is very powerful. So how by doing our duties immaculately we'll be able to get detached from the fruitive results. So detachment does not mean stopping the work, but doing it more carefully. So those 5 things can be removed by our devotional service. So without Srimad Bhagavatam, there will be discrimination. There will be mean-mindedness. There will be fruitive activities. But with Srimad Bhagavatam, all these will be absent. The fruitive activities will not touch us. Srimad Bhagavatam, with Srimad Bhagavatam, we will always be reasonable and healthy. So more and more things to be shared, but time is of the essence. So every living entity is eternal, right? He must have his eternal body. But purposefully, to enjoy this material world, living entity has accepted a material body. Not only once, but it's going on continually, one after another. 84 lakh species, we're going around and round. So as I'm accumulating material desires in this life, I have got this body because according to my desires in the last life. Similarly, what we are desiring in this life, that will be fulfilled in the next life. Be careful, whatever you're desiring. So be in devotional service, absorbed in devotional service. And this Damodara month is very, very auspicious. So we should take this golden opportunity given by Krishna this month, so we can increase our devotional service, more chanting, more recitation of verses, more hearing Krishna Katha, preaching this message to everybody, offering ghee lamps, reciting Dhamma, all this in Damodar. If we go on doing it, this month will take us back to Godhead. Because we'll be completely absorbed in Krishna and we'll not discriminate. Don't discriminate. This is a very, very important lesson we have taken today. So thank you, Varus Mataris. We'll stop here. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Gurudev ki jai. Kai Gaur Pramanandi Hari Hari Bol. You have any questions or anything, points to share? Any points which is very useful for you to take in your day-to-day life? Practically applicable. Please, Hare Krishna.
Doing prescribed duties during a devotional service is the takeaway of the day. You have to do a prescribed duty and also devotional service side by side.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, correct. Thank you. Is there anything you want to convey? Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank
Hare
you
Krishna,
for
Prabhu.
a wonderful session today.
Thank
Prabhuji,
you, Prabhu.
in Krishna conscious terms, please tell us the general meaning of humility, please.
Oh. Yeah. See, without Krishna consciousness, people are humble. Right? Not necessarily. Of course, Krishna consciousness. See, that's what we spoke about the show bottle, right? If people come and say, Prabhuji, मैं बहुत fallen हूँ, I am nothing in this world. Go on telling that, but actually in their mind you are something else. That is duplicity is there, right? You are really humble. It's not telling being humble. It should come naturally. And for coming naturally, you have to follow the instructions as given by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. All the devotees have done all the prayers, because we don't know how to pray also. So that has been shown in Bhagavatam by so many devotees are praying, in different circumstances. Each person, each devotee is having different difficulties. Kunti Maharani is different difficulty. She is praying wonderfully. Prahlad Maharaj's prayers, Dhruva Maharaj's prayers, right? So many prayers are there. We have to just follow those prayers. If we saw this Swastika, the first one prayer, let there be all good things in the whole of the universe. Let no person be envious of others. That's a beautiful prayer of Prahlad Maharaj. Right? I think I just decided 598, something like that. That's so humble means by service. Only we can do it by service. See, if you are not well, you cannot do on your own anything. Somebody comes and serves you. Normally mothers, if somebody is there around, maybe a friend or somebody comes and serves you. How wonderful you feel, right? So service is the one that attracts people, and service is the one that attracts Krishna. So once Krishna is pleased, automatically you are humble, because one moment you are doing service, not to anybody else, but to please Krishna. That you should. Now, otherwise, normally people do service to show others, I am capable of doing this, right? I am doing that. I am the leader of this. No, then the humbleness goes off. You can see by the method how you can see some people, you love to approach that person. You always think of that person. That means his character attracts you. That means he's a humble character. He's non-envious, very pleasing in his speech. So that automatically you can reject. Otherwise, some person you see, oh, this person has come. Then you try to go away from that person, right? Whereas some people you love to be with them only. You love to be with them. If they come, we welcome them very nicely, because you feel happy, because that all those characters are there: humble, non-envious, so beautiful, pleasing to talk. So these are all the things. Prabhu, I hope I was to some extent useful, Prabhu. Very
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Anybody
Hare
else?
Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna, Santosh Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
As usual, a simple and a wonderful class, Prabhu, today.
Thank you.
As
Thank you, Hare
usual,
Krishna.
a simple and a wonderful class today. Very nice.
Thank you,
Prabhu.
Santosh Prabhu.
Thank you
All
very much.
Guru's mercy and Prabhupada mercy. Hare Krishna. And all the elders' blessings.
Right.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Correct.
Hare Krishna. Okay. If nothing else there, we can stop. Hare Krishna. Jai.
Sorry, Prabhuji, you are the host today.
Oh, thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Yatindra
Krishna.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna for giving this opportunity. Yes, Nirmal Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. You have beautifully linked the word envious with our regular shloka for Loka Kalyanam. That was very nice, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Okay. Nothing is there. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Yes, Mataji.
Very powerful talk today. Very powerful and appealing and mind-blowing. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Santosh. Gurudev ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here. Take care. Be safe. And continue this wonderful Damodara month. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Mataji. Thanks. Thank you, Archana Mataji. Thank you, Gaurav. Gaurav Prabhu, Manjula Mataji, Nirmala Mataji, Revati Mataji, Sindhu Mataji, Suresh Prabhu,
Thank you,
Prabhu. Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.